It's weapon day, and you know what that means. We'll be raising Flynn's signature weapon, Bloodsoaked Ruins, and seeing if anyone else can use it. As usual, we gotta raise it first. We do have some enemy mats, but I imagine we will have a bit of farming to do here. It actually has crit rate on Ascension. I do assume not very high crit rates because of his artifact set already giving 30%, but we'll see when it's maxed here. There's 50. So already 3rd star, no farming necessary yet. Level 60. I kind of figured these would also be open for like the week after he's released. Or has it been a week already? There's no way, right? It has been. Thankfully, we got lucky and they're open anyway. Got a purple. I mean, for weapon domain, I think we're actually looking for gold before we pop off. How are those guys dead before Mawika's burst even lands? This is a crazy domain. 2 purples. I guess that's pretty good as well. We'll use 1 more fragile and then see where we can go. We can get the 4th star, so let's go ahead and do that. Boom. Auto add, level 70. Oh god, we're missing everything for the 5th star. Let's just head to the bench and see everything we'll need to max it. We should definitely be good with small enemy mats. Let's go ahead and make those. Yeah, we're good. These, on the other hand, I don't think so. We're gonna go to Sucrose. Boom. Got 2 bonus. You'll give me 1 bonus on those 2, right, Sucrose? Okay. What about resin mats? I think we also only need purples and golds there, so we'll see. We can make the 6 golden and still have enough purple, it looks like. Okay, cool. So as usual, it comes down to the elite enemies that we're lacking. In the meantime, we can get it to the 5th star though, so there we go, and level 80 as well, kaboom. And yeah, 20 purple elite enemy mats. Let's hope we can get them in my world so we don't have to bother anyone else. What the hell are those? These come from the Wild Hunt locations? I guess just the Wild Hunt enemies though, right? Yeah, these guys. Okay, interesting. Yeah, we did get a lot, including I think a purple over there. Oh no, that's just an artifact. But still, pretty decent chunk. Here we go, we have like a spawn. This guy should also drop a decent amount, right? Oh yeah, we have to fill up his bar. I forget about that sometimes. Look at all that, dude. That's awesome. That is a purple indeed. Decent chunk there. Another purple perhaps? Yes. And a 3rd purple. That's pretty nice. And a chest. This was just a normal group of them, but we still got a purple. As long as there are a few more, we should be good. 2 raw purples perhaps. Nice. We might be good already, but sure, we're going to just finish them out. Another 2 raw purples, dude. Okay, well, it tells us up there. So we actually are done. Looks like that's all it was gonna show me anyway. So we should just be able to do this and that. And yeah, we are good to max it. Let's go. That was a pretty painless one, honestly. Ascend, ascend, boom, final star, and level 90. Zing, 22 crit rate, 674 base attack. Kind of how I expected. I was thinking it might be even more skewed towards base attack though, like Calamity Queller, just because he already gets, you know, 30 crit rate from his set. But yeah, I think that's actually perfect for our current build, like if we didn't change anything, because we're missing a little crit rate. Now we'd be at 100.2 exactly. That's actually amazing. Honestly, did not plan for that at all. Taking a look at passive, it is unfortunately very niche, at least the first part. It's a lunar charge damage buff for 3.5 seconds after using burst. Disregarding the very short 3.5 second buff, no one else even cares about a lunar charge damage increase. I mean, if you want to be pedantic, then sure, Inefa, but I'm kind of tired of having that discussion. They're going to be in the same team. The second part is where it can potentially get interesting, but I'm going to have to look at the roster again to refresh my memory. It's 28% crit damage when triggering a lunar charged reaction. So of course you do still have to be in a lunar charge team with Flins or Inefa and a Hydro. They can also gain 12 energy, so could potentially be something to think about at the very least. Talking about the weapon for Flins first though, the one thing I'm a bit confused about is the 3.5 second duration. He can only burst every 6 seconds at C0 and 4 seconds at C1. The only other thing is that the buff applies to his burst, like after you cast but before it does damage, then you get the 36%. That shouldn't be too hard to test actually, so we will start with that. If we just use him solo and don't trigger lunar charge reactions, it shouldn't be too hard to see. We could just swap him off like, Crimson Moon Semblance. That should work. Just gotta make sure not to do any charge attacks with him, and then we'll essentially get, you know, the same exact stats, but no passive bonus. And if his burst does more in Bloodsoaked Ruins than Crimson Moon Semblance, then the damage buff applies before the damage happens. Me and my battle with understanding Genshin's descriptions will never end. All right, we'll just try on this enemy here. We're not gonna do anything fancy, just 2 R1s and the R2 there. 78,908. Switch to Crimson Moon. Boom, boom. Oh, 66.8. Okay, well, I think that's pretty clear then. Also, I gotta say, a pretty damn good buff. I mean, I don't mean to keep putting Timp on blast, but they specifically said weapon buff only applies after Flint's first burst. And after actually reading the passive, I was confused how that could be when it only lasts 3.5 seconds. But regardless, I'm glad we tested it. That seemed pretty clear, pretty concrete to me that he gets the buff before the actual damage happens on his burst. And I guess the duration is for when you do have him C2, then that's enough time to get that next normal attack off and deal that extra direct lunar charge damage with the buff here. The only conclusion I can come to is that we did indeed get the 36% lunar charge damage. Temp. Anyway, misinformation successfully dodged this time. I have to retract my previous blasting of Temp. Turned out it was all just a big misunderstanding. They were showing me their Flins stats, and I guess what they meant was Flins didn't have the crit damage buff since he hadn't been on field doing his burst yet, and I understood that as the passive doesn't work until after the first burst, which led to this whole thing. But okay, thumbs up, let's move on. What am I doing, man? What am I looking at them for? You have to be Hydro or Electro to trigger Lunar Charge, right? Where are you, Shao? I mean, it honestly should be pretty easy to test as well, because we get a crit damage increase, which is reflected in the stat page. I don't think I've ever been this desperate to find some use case. We're just gonna replace Flins with Shao. At the very least, Inefa and a Hydro have to be there, so it's basically a Lunar Charge team. First of all, before I even bother building him, I want to see if it's actually possible. Yeah, he's built like garbage right now, doesn't matter. 126 crit damage. We're gonna see if that increases here. Okay, and boom. Did that trigger Lunar Charged? Let's check. No. What am I doing? 5 years and I still don't really know how reactions work. If my understanding is right, Anemo damage or swirl can cause Lunar Charge, but it's not considered that the character is doing it themselves, just the element. Like this, for example. Boom, I just caused freeze on this one. Sucrose isn't a cryo character, but apparently that doesn't count as Sucrose triggering freeze. That's just Anemo moving around elements to apply it elsewhere. So it's not really Sucrose, I guess. I think in most cases, those little nuances don't matter, but I'm led to believe it just doesn't count like that unless it's a direct result of the character applying the element that does the reaction and not swirling it via Anemo. So in hindsight, it wasn't that dumb to try Shao, I suppose. Essentially, it doesn't work because of a technicality, which I never really thought of that deeply before. But whatever, he is the only Anemo polearm user anyway. The only other characters we could look at are Hydro, Electro polearm users, which are really not a lot. Only Candace in the Hydro department. I feel like the stats would be a bit wasted on Yansan, no offense, though it would make maxing out her attack thing way easier with the high base attack. Assuming you didn't have anyone's signature, and obviously not Flynn's, I think most could potentially be interesting. Like Cyno I know is pretty commonly in a Electro Charge team, but you also need to have Inefa with you. Oh yeah, but Cyno doesn't care that much about attack. Like not to the point where he would want a weapon with 674 base. Well then, we're gonna try Shogun. She does care about attack, I guess ER more so, but still attack is good. This sucks. These videos are so miserable, man. Please stop making the weapons so niche. Sure, I guess. These days I'm only using Raiden in like overloaded teams though. Also, yeah, Inefa has to be there so that Lunar Charge can exist. Shogun plunge? Before you run through Abyss, I want to make absolutely sure that actually works. So she currently has 139 crit damage. Cool. Those aren't real enemies. Awesome. These guys for sure, right? Also not real enemies. Where am I? Locked chest over here means enemy for sure. Pyro slimes. It's pyro slimes. I can't do Lunar Charge on pyro slimes. Those are enemies. Okay, here we go. We finally found some enemies. That should have already worked, to be honest. Let's check details. Yes, it did. We have more crit damage. All right, cool. We know it works. Let's see if we can have Farina carry us through Abyss. Okay, here we go with the first chamber. I'm probably not actually going to do a plunge for now. Maybe. Okay, where did she go? Let's just do her burst. And actually, sure, we'll plunge. Maybe it's actually kind of good. Where's the real one going? Guess we can, oh, he's over here. Can start over the rotation. And here we go. That should have been a Lunar Charge. We have the buff. Let's go ahead and do her burst. And just start plunging. Sure. We have that ability. It's actually not doing that bad damage. You know what? That was actually pretty decent. Gonna just kill these guys with normals and then we'll jump on this guy. Non-plungers plunge so slow though, so it's kind of annoying. It is still going pretty good. Like this guy, I had a really hard time with him with the Flynn's raising mode. I mean, yeah, it is a full 5-star team with like, you know, couple constellations in there, so I think Raiden could be kind of replaced with anyone and we'd still get through it without too much hassle. But sure, let's try the last chamber here. Just gonna get rid of that guy. We don't actually have Farina's burst right now, so we'll do that. Okay, the rotation's a little weird. We have to go back to Farina now to pop that. And then sure do Xianyun thing. Boom. Gonna get those balls and then go back to her, and we should be able to do this now. Boom. I mean, actually, the Lunar Charge reaction itself is doing more damage than Raiden is, I think. Like, I'm seeing some pretty huge numbers in there sometimes. All right, Raiden, one more for the road here. Come on, one shot. Not even close. Oh, okay, well, there was that, I guess. The only other thing we can really talk about is it as a stat stick, and unfortunately, it's pretty bad in that regard, because most characters can't use any part of the passive. A lot of, you know, more niche weapons these days have at least a little something, just like attack plus 20%, period. It's really just the base stats, so I'm really not even sure it's worth talking much about it as a stat stick. But yeah, attack scalars. It has a lot of base attack and like 20 crit rate, which is still pretty good, you know, 20 crit rate. But even then, like, a lot of polearms don't just strictly scale with attack. Hu Tao technically does, but she'd rather have HP. Cyno, sort of same story. Raiden Shogun kind of for energy, Zhongli with HP. Even though a lot of the weapons these days are kind of hyper niche, there's usually at least someone I can be like, you know what, this is at least an idea. I don't know if that's even true for Raiden. Like, we can freely R5 the catch if you just fish enough. Mine is still R2, I hate fishing. And at R5, I imagine it at least rivals this one, gives her a lot of ER, crit rate for burst, which is like the most important thing, and just burst damage. And you're also not locked into a Lunar Charge team. I don't know what I'm doing here. These videos almost just feel like a shit post at this point, but I tried my best. If you have any thoughts, feel free to drop them in the comments down below. Leaving a like or subscribing if you enjoyed is always greatly appreciated as well. Thanks, as always, for watching, and until next time.